We're going to take a trip down memory lane. We're going to throw it all the way back to almost the beginning of February to talk Hill Country Coaching Clinic down there in Fredericksburg, Texas. We'll talk about our time down there, and we'll talk to one of the Hill Country Coaching Clinic directors, Mr. Zane Bodie. He was kind enough to join us there on the first day and kind of talk about what the clinic means to him and what's all involved there down there in the Hill Country for that clinic. Then in the back half, man, you guessed it, we're going to talk some hoops and why March Madness is probably the best time of year, I would say, to most people, maybe behind football season. But March Madness, man, one of the best times of year, and we'll tell you why. So stick around for that. Should we just hop right into it?
Yeah. It's been a while, but, man, we've got to talk about it for at least a minute. They were kind enough to invite us down there, and we just haven't been able to have a show since we made it all the way down there. But we got some great interviews. I mean, I know most people have probably seen this, but it's worth listening to.
Yeah, definitely. I think I love the Hill Country Coaching Clinic so much. No, we go to a couple of coaching clinics. We go to the DFW Coaching Clinic. Mm-hmm. We go
I've been to the
College Station Coaching Clinic.
Yeah, the Lone Star one quite a few times.
Clinic. But I'd say this, and then obviously we're at the big coaching clinic, THSCA Coaching Clinic in July. We're always at that. But this one holds a little bit of a special place in our hearts, I would say, the Hill Country Coaching Clinic, because... And their motto is, it's where the wives have the most fun. They always have this coaching clinic right over Valentine's Day weekend because they encourage all of the coaches to bring their wives to the event. And that's where we have the most fun because we get to not only talk to all of our favorite coaches that get to the opportunity to go down there and participate in all the panels and all the fun stuff that they have planned, but we also get to talk to all of our favorite coaches' wives down there as well.
Yeah, and that's a blast, and I love it so much because it's giving them the opportunity to be celebrated in the way that they deserve. Like, I think anybody, we're not coaches' wives. My fiance works in an athletic department,
right,
you know?
Right.
So I feel like adjacently, I get it. When you were married or dating or whatever, just know people, even sons or daughters or whoever. If you're living a life in and around athletics, it's not just your life.
No.
It affects everybody around you.
Right. I mean, I obviously don't know exactly everything that Brian does at the University of Houston. I've got a good grasp on it, but I just know that he works all the time. And you're just as invested as he is. Honestly, you're always like, hey, did you see the Cougs win in softball? And I was like, heck yeah, they did. Let's go.
Yeah, you learn to love sports that you didn't think that you would end up watching as much. You learn to support going to the games and being a part of the program as much as you can. And I feel like that's what, I mean, you ask any coach and every single time, whether it's winning a state championship, whether it's winning a district game, whether it's having a good day at practice, the first people that they always think is their wives typically, because it's like they're back home. They're keeping the house on lock. I'm basically an absentee husband / dad / father,
exactly.
You know, all of that throughout the year. And I mean, we feel that way with our family even. You can say that of like, Mom, Dad, sorry. It's hard for me to come home right now because we've got, it's football season, you know, and they know that. And so I just think that the Hill Country Coaching Clinic is so cool, and it's just so fun to see all of those wives that put in and sacrifice so much throughout the year to keep their households running, to keep the kids getting to school on time, to keep all of that going. It's cool to watch the coaches enjoy watching their wives have a good time, enjoy seeing them win door prizes, them getting to be in the spotlight a little bit, even all around those coaches so much. It's a really, really cool thing that the Hill Country Coaching Clinic does for the wives.
I think so too. And talking to some of the wives throughout the weekend, I mean, they get probably even more excited, if not just as excited, to get away, and because they've all created a group of their own. Really, I mean, they're all supporting each other because, like you said, it takes such a toll on them as well because they're gone half the season, you know? So having that kind of, I guess, camaraderie between all of the wives as well, they can make connections. And, you know, they all kind of know what they're all going through, you know, during that time. So it's a really, really neat clinic. We got down there on that Friday, and we got to actually see some of the panels that were going on. Stephenville head coach Sterling Doty was there. He talked about, I don't remember what he talked about, but he was up on there on a panel. maybe their defense or something like that.
I think it was, defensive seminar.
Schemes or something like that. And then we got a couple of interviews when we were there as well. We got to talk to Travis Bush, the new head coach of the UT-RGV Vaqueros.
Yes.
That was really, really fun to kind of hear his experience with creating a whole new program from scratch and hearing all of the Texas high school football players that they have been able to convince to play for that program here in the next couple of years or so. They won't actually play in the 2024 season. Their first season officially will be 2025. So that was really cool to hear his perspective on that. And how the heck do you create a program from a college football program from the ground up,
Oh, yeah. Well, and especially, too, I mean, he had said they had it was either, I'm going to get this wrong, 72 or 74. I think it was 72.
Yeah, it was in between there,
It's 72, I believe, Texas high school football players already there on campus practicing, ready to go. Just think about that. Put that into perspective of you sign up for a job, per se, knowing for a fact that you are going to put in the work for over a year. I mean, year and a half, almost 2 years before you get to show anybody something. That would be like us working on a video for 2 years and not getting to go out there and really get in the feel of it.
Exactly.
Or watching 2 years of Texas high school football but not being able to write an article about it. But he was like, man, they're just bought in and what they're doing. That's awesome. The recruiting trail, it's been cool to see. The queen of the RGV,
his wife was down there.
She was fantastic. So it was cool.
It was really, really cool to see. Another person we got to talk to during that Friday was one of the Hill Country Coaching Clinic directors, Mr. Zane Bodie himself. He loves when we come down there. I love to see them. We love to see Mrs. Bodie as well.
Oh yeah, the whole clan.
Bodie. Yeah, the whole Bodie clan's always down there. We love to see
Clay
them as well. Clay Bodie too. But we got to talk to Zane a little bit about the Hill Country Coaching Clinic, why they thought it was a good idea to include their wives, and what are all of the activities that the coaches and their wives get to do together.
How much it's grown.
Since the first time that they started including those wives into the coaching clinic. But it was a really, really great conversation, and we're going to go ahead and show it to you right now. So without further ado, here's Zane Boney, one of the
She almost had the landing.
Coaching Clinic directors here on Women Talking Football.
A successful dismount.
Mallory Hartley here with Dave Campbell's Texas Football, TexasFootball.com. Sitting here in Fredericksburg, Texas for the Hill Country Coaching Clinic with a clinic director, Mr. Zane Bodie. Thanks for having us out again this year. I'm really, really excited to be here.
Y'all are always welcome with us. We're really excited to have y'all. You have increased our advertising statewide with what you do. You've actually got me listening to y'all's podcast from time to time. It's incredible.
Well, you and nobody else, right? So for people that don't know much about the Hill Country Coaching Clinic, kind of tell the people, what it's about and what its main selling point is.
What we started out, this is actually our 10th year. What we started out 10 years ago was trying to develop a clinic where you could incorporate and bring your wife and actually share your passion and let her start networking with people and get to do it. And what it's turned into 10 years later is a wives gathering where the coaches are allowed to come, but they're just said, y'all stay away from what we're doing over here. But it really is something. It's kind of a thing that's close to our heart. I coached for 28 years. I'm retired now. My wife got to attend one clinic with me in 28 years, and that was really a special weekend for me to get to share something that I love so much with her. And this is something that we want to do now, is share with all these coaches across the state and get your wife involved, and it's been great. It's been a blessing.
And it's the perfect place for it too, right, Fredericksburg?
Absolutely. All the coaches come in and they're angry because the last thing their wife says is, "Give me the credit card." And they shop for 3 hours. We have a social going on now with the wives. While we've started talking football, they're over there having a wine tasting and a social and a gathering and just gossiping away.
I love that. Now, you've had a big attendance last year. How many coaches are at the clinic this year, or have at least signed up to attend this clinic?
Pre-registration, we're just over 200 coaches, and we have a ton of walk-ins and people that just show up. So we're going to be around 300, 325 is what we're hoping for this year.
And then typically, how many of them actually bring their wives to the clinic?
That's a tough thing to say. Usually around 200 wives. We'll know more tonight when we get together in our little social and give the wives all the presents and prizes. So it's going to be a packed house tonight.
And for all the coaches' wives that weren't able to maybe attend this year, all the coaches, what are some of the fun things that the coaches' wives have on the docket? And then what are some of the fun things that the coaches and their wives can do together throughout the clinic?
Right off the bat, when the wives check in over at the clinic, we have a goodie bag for them, and a lot of and I'm going to turn and point like we're on town, a lot of the Main Street stores and vendors have discounts and freebies when they walk in and shop. So they have a section right off the bat called Shop Till You Drop. There goes the credit card thing with the coaches. Shop Till You Drop. They come back in and they have a meet and greet starting at about 2:30 to 5. And during that time, we've got some booths set up for them. Fan Glam is there. We have a couple of wine vineyards over there this year, and they're actually doing a wine tasting. And then from 5:30 to 7:30, we want them to go eat with their husbands. We tell your husband, take you out, y'all go out and eat and celebrate each other. We come back in for our first social, Friday night, 7:30, and we give away tons and tons of gifts to the wives, just tons of gifts to the wives. The wives are the only one that can win. It gets pretty raucous in there when we start giving out prizes. Tomorrow morning, we have a devotional through Coaches Outreach. They have FCA and Coaches Outreach have partnered with us since we started this clinic. We'll bring the wives in, feed them breakfast, and have a devotional. And then we've always invited the wives back for our last lecture of the day. This year we have Stephen Mackey, who's going to do a great motivational thing for our coaches. And then year before last, we started date night on Saturday night. And we take over a local establishment here on Main, and our sponsors handle all the bill, and we take care of the coaches, and we have live music. It's a special weekend.
That's awesome. Well, I'll let you get back to work here. You're going to go in there and work with your brother here at the front desk, checking everybody in. But I really appreciate you inviting us back out here. We, of course, love to be here and love to hang out with all the coaches and their wives as well. So thanks for having us out again.
Thank you. You'll have a standing invite every year. Thank you so much.
Thanks again to Zane Bodie, one of the Hill Country Coaching Clinic. Got it. Directors.
It's a first time for everything.
Yeah, there's a first time for everything. Down there in Fredericksburg, we appreciate him taking the time out of his busy schedule to talk about all of the great things that the Hill Country Coaching Clinic has to offer. I think one of the coolest things that I think that he mentioned in an interview was that they actually have a couples devotional, I believe on that Saturday
morning,
where all the couples get to go to that. And they also have a wives clinic as well, which we're always invited to. That's always on that Friday. I guess it's probably a wives social, I would say, where they've got cool vendors that come out.
Meet, greet, and wine.
Meet, greet, and wine, correct. Yeah. That's why we're invited. But they always have cool vendors that come out there, which is really cool. A lot of jewelry vendors and purses and backpacks and stuff. Mrs. Coach Cluley, we got to see her, and she was loading up the shopping cart there.
Which Coach Cluley was doing his due diligence because he walked into the meet, greet, and wine with like just bags all over his arms, and we were like, correct.
He was doing it right. You know, he absolutely knew what he was doing, and he was spoiling her to death. So that was really cool to see. But we had a fantastic time down there. I mean, we always do, and we always appreciate how generous the Hill Country Coaching Clinic is to us. And, you know, as long as y'all have us back, we'll be there.
Yeah, and we hope that
is circled on our calendar almost every single year. I can tell you that.
And we hope that more coaches from across the state will go too. I mean, it's a great way. Treat your wife to it, man. It's great. You go get football knowledge. I mean, there are exceptional speakers there from the college perspective, from the high school perspective, state championship winning coaches. The lineup is fantastic. There's a lot that you can take out of it. And your wife gets to come along and have fun. Get a babysitter for the kids, drop them off at grandma and grandpa's, do whatever you need to do. Get on out there, and we'll be there to see you.
Absolutely.